I'm a 36-year-old female, and my boyfriend is a 42-year-old male. We've been together for 7 years. Both of us have been previously married and divorced, and we prefer to maintain financial independence. I'm child-free and have worked hard to become financially comfortable, while my boyfriend has a lower income, contributes significantly in child support, and supports his 5 children's extracurricular activities. Our arrangement is that I cover all household expenses, including bills, student loans, and groceries, and take care of his children when they visit. In return, he contributes what he can to our household. 5 years ago, I bought a home specifically to accommodate his kids during their visits, aiming to make them feel comfortable. This decision led to drama with his ex, who accused me of trying to buy the children's affection and claimed that I was flaunting my financial status. I've kept a distance from his ex due to past conflicts and her history of domestic violence towards him. We agreed to let her rent my house for a significantly reduced rate for 2 years when we had to relocate 12 hours away for a job opportunity one received. Recently, our circumstances changed, and we moved back to our hometown. We found a small rental in the meantime. Since returning, his ex has become increasingly aggressive towards me, telling my partner that the children hate me and accusing me of trying to buy their love. She refuses to consider therapy or counseling, interpreting my suggestion as an attack on her parenting. The rental agreement is nearing its end, and I want my house back. The ex argues that since we can afford both a rental and a mortgage, we should let her keep the house for the sake of the children. The kids have started to resent me for this situation. My boyfriend is torn, wanting to prioritize his children's happiness and safety. I've been advised by others that I'm not in the wrong for wanting to reclaim my property. They suggest giving her a month's notice and preparing for potential fallout, including the possibility of being portrayed negatively. The consensus is that my boyfriend's ex will likely continue to manipulate the situation, and I should consider whether this relationship is worth the trouble. After reflecting on the comments from my original post, I decided to sell the house instead of reclaiming it. I realized that I didn't want to live in a home that had been tainted by the ex's presence. I offered her the option to stay in the house as a rental property or move out. The situation escalated when I discovered that my boyfriend and the ex had rekindled their emotional relationship. The ex sent me screenshots of their steamy messages and pictures, expressing her frustration and suggesting I might be willing to let them keep the house if my boyfriend and I separated. When confronted, my boyfriend admitted to an emotional affair, though he insisted it hadn't become physical. He expressed feelings of emasculation and claimed he was leaning on the ex for comfort due to my frequent absences for work. As a result, I've ended the relationship, evicted the ex, and put the house up for sale. I've bought a new townhouse by the beach and am moving forward with my life. I've even started dating again. Reflecting on everything, I acknowledge that many of the comments were right. Despite the difficulties, I'm hopeful that things will improve in the future. When it comes to his bad inane ex and baby mama, it's clear he thought it was worth it. The entire situation seems to revolve around financial gain, as the central theme of their communication was bloody money. He had more disposable income but also fewer responsibilities compared to her. What neither of them fully grasped is that working long hours away from home, 12 hours a day for 3 weeks a month, takes a significant toll. His decision to prioritize money over family makes him seem more foolish than initially thought. It's common for people to feel threatened or emasculated if their partner earns more, but unless there's a compelling reason to be suspicious, such feelings are often unreasonable. In this case, his insecurities were not justified. The chaotic behavior of his ex and her tendency to create drama would lead to many embarrassing situations, making it difficult for him to feel comfortable. This would understandably cause frustration and a sense of emasculation. Ultimately, it seems that the breakup was beneficial. His ex revealed her true colors, he confirmed the situation, and now both are out of your life, leaving you better off. You're curious about whether they've reconciled and how they are managing now that he's no longer financially dependent on you. You're concerned about the well-being of their children, who you were close to for years. Despite your effort to remain uninvolved for your own sanity, you occasionally hear updates. For example, you spotted one of the kids with your ex at a local market, suggesting they might be together again. While it was disheartening to see their situation, you're relieved to be free from the associated drama. You don't know where they've ended up since you instructed your real estate agent to handle the sale of the house and avoid informing you of details about his ex. You only wanted to know when she would be out and when the house would be sold, which is expected to be by mid-November. You've been intentionally avoiding information about their circumstances for your own peace of mind. In another story, you're dealing with the fallout of not inviting your children to your wedding. At 48, you're remarrying a 39-year-old man, which will be your second marriage. Your first marriage ended when your ex-husband left you for his mistress, offering you a settlement to facilitate the divorce. You moved abroad and eventually met your current fiancé. Your children, aged 27 and 25, are upset that they were not invited to your wedding. They discovered your upcoming marriage through extended family, not directly from you. Your decision not to invite them stems from their persistent attempts to force you into reconciliation with your ex and his mistress. They pressured you to accept their disrespect and even tried to arrange meetings with your ex and his mistress, attempting to make you accept their relationship. This behavior extended to family events where they would deceive you about the guest list, only to have your ex and his mistress show up. Their insistence that you forgive and befriend your ex, who cheated on you, and their disapproval of your boundaries are significant reasons for your decision. Top comments suggest you are not at fault for not inviting your children. They argue that your children's behavior makes it likely they would cause problems at the wedding. It's also considered cold-hearted and selfish for them to pressure you about your ex's relationship, especially given their father's infidelity. The comments reflect a belief that your children might need to experience similar pain to understand your position. A recommended approach is to explain to your children why they weren't invited, emphasizing that their repeated boundary violations and attempts to force a relationship with your ex have deeply hurt you. If you ever come to the conclusion that there was no justification for your father's infidelity and that I deserve to be treated with love and respect, I would be more than happy to welcome you back into my life. I was initially inclined to label you as the a-hole after reading the title, but my perspective has shifted. My father has been remarried 3 times since our parents' divorce, and neither my sisters nor I have been invited to any of his weddings. We always believed we had a good relationship with him, which made this exclusion especially hurtful. If you are not in contact with them for your own mental well-being, you are under no obligation to extend invitations to them. It's important to remember that you don't have to be the bigger person all the time. You are not required to accept insincere apologies or to maintain relationships that drain you. You shouldn't have to spend your life making an effort for people who show no interest in reciprocating that effort. Let me share a story about my own situation. I recently faced a dilemma with my ex, Tammy Lynn. She tried to convince me to give up custody of my son so that her new husband could adopt him and they could have a family without me. I refused, which led to significant legal expenses, but I managed to secure 50-50 custody of my son. Tammy Lynn and her new husband had 2 children together before she became ill with cancer. My son, who was 14 at the time, began taking care of his half-siblings, which negatively impacted his schoolwork. I told him he was a good kid for helping his siblings but emphasized that his own future should not suffer because of this responsibility. When I discussed the situation with Tammy Lynn, she expressed that she didn't want to seek financial support from her ex, feeling it would allow him to avoid responsibility. While I understood her viewpoint, I felt it was unfair for my son's future to be jeopardized due to her choices. I decided to file for full custody and child support from her. Tammy Lynn accused me of interfering in her new marriage and claimed that I was still bitter about our breakup. I want to clarify that I'm no longer bitter about the breakup. I was hurt when she left and initially wanted her back, but I've moved on and am happy with my current life. It's not about bitterness, it's about ensuring my son's well-being. Tammy Lynn can afford child support, and it's unreasonable to expect my son to act as an unpaid caregiver, especially when they can afford daycare. It's essential to prioritize your child's well-being and ensure they have the opportunity to focus on their own life and education. In conclusion, you are absolutely justified in prioritizing your child's future and well-being. It is commendable to stand up for what's right and to navigate complex family dynamics with your child's best interests at heart.